Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, so when I lived in my house in California, when I bought the house, I had a whole bunch of options for upgrades that I could have done to the house. And the only actual upgrade I had done from the base house was that I asked to have ceiling fan attachments attached in all of the bedrooms and in the living room. And so as soon as I moved in, I had ceiling fans installed in each of those rooms, and it did a great job of helping me control the temperature. Now, my parents had been over to my house a whole bunch of times and saw the benefits of having those ceiling fans, and they've kind of made the decision themselves they want to do the same thing. And slowly over the last few years, they have been installing ceiling fans throughout the house. Two of the bedrooms right now have them, and there's also one out in the family room. But this room that I'm in right now is my mom's TV room, and she has decided she wants to have a ceiling fan installed in here. And my father purchased the fan recently, but hasn't had the chance to put it up. So when I arrived here about 4 days ago, my mom had a big long list of things that she wanted to do, and one of those things was to install that ceiling fan. And since I need a little bit of a change from the last few days of vlogs, we're going to install a ceiling fan in this room today. So let's get going with this. This will be interesting. So this is a fan that my mom has selected, or my mom and my father selected to have installed in here. And I kind of understand the need to have it in here. It's getting a little stuffy in this room, and my mom spends a lot of time in here. So, you know, this isn't really a hard thing to do. So let's get going on this. Now, my mom currently has this goofy little crystal fixture hanging up here, and it's actually really pretty. She likes it, so I'm actually going to move that into another room. But the first thing I got to do is take that one down before we can put the fan up, because the fan's going to go right there in the same fixture. Kind of wishing I'd brought my tripod at this point, because I could really use 3 hands and not 2, but just gonna have to fake it with me here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect or loosen this screw, and then there's another one on the reverse side that's the same way, and then I can just rotate this piece down. It'll come right down in my hand. So just have to use your imagination of me using a screwdriver. Alright, so we got the lamp down, and basically we just got our simple breakout box here. I guess I understand why they put the funny little shield thing around the edge of it, because the hole in there is pretty big. And you kind of cover that up. Otherwise that would look really ugly up there. So I think we'll just use that again. That'll work probably pretty well with the ceiling fan as well. So we'll just have to remember to reinstall that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open up the box, and let's take an inventory of all the parts, make sure we have everything we need, and have a basic understanding of how it all goes together. So in the front of the instructions booklet, there's a list of all the parts that should be here, and I've basically verified everything here. So yeah, it looks like we got everything here. It's got a whole bunch of little pieces, so I just got this little glass dish, and I'm just going to keep those out of the way so I don't lose that. But we got 5 fan holder blades, the actual blades themselves, the light fixture, the motor, some of the wire. I'm guessing we're not going to probably use that wire, because sometimes they include extra wires so that if you have a longer pole going between the ground and the fan blade, you got enough wire to go through it. But since we're only going to be using the one that came with it, probably not going to need that, but we'll keep it just to be sure. Alright, so the first step on this is we have to route the wiring through all of the tubing that goes in here. And so it starts with this piece, and then we need to go through the little base plate that hangs from the ceiling, and then ultimately the pipe that hangs down. So I'm just going to do that. I'll show you the aftermath here. So basically this is what the finished product looks like. Next step, I need to set this little set pin here through here, and this is basically just holding everything together. It should go all the way through the back end. I have to kind of fiddle around with it here a little bit. And now that I got the pin all the way through here, I'm going to take the locking pin, sometimes known as a cotter pin, and push it through there. And that just basically makes sure that that pin never comes out, and that's what we want, because that's basically the only thing that's holding the whole thing together. Now the whole mechanism is held by the base up here. Next we have 2 locking screws, this one and this one here, and I'm basically just going to tighten those. Those just further helps if I use the right screwdriver here. Those just further lock everything into place here so that we don't move, because we don't want this thing sliding off ever. It's not a good idea when that happens, because then the fan falls down and whoever's underneath it ends up getting a haircut. Now the next step is I have this black mounting bracket, and basically I want to attach that to my breakout box on the roof. Now, since I want this little plastic thing in between there, well, this isn't in the instructions, I'm just going to insert that between the roof and the mounting bracket. So that goes pretty easy. I'll show you that in a second. And the finished product looks like this. And there's a screw here, there's a screw underneath there, and then I just routed both the wires beneath. And like I said, I inserted this piece around because we have to cover up the big hole that's in the ceiling there. That was just something that had to be modified from the current project. So at this point, now we're ready to move on to the next step. Alright, so the next part is I'm going to take this little ball hitch thing here, this half ball hitch on the top of my fan motor assembly, and I'm just going to drop it right into the little hook there. And the final piece looks like this. And now we've got the bulk of the fan hanging here, and it's all just kind of on this pivot thing. And the beauty is with that kind of ball hitch that you saw there, if there's any wobbling in the fan at all, there's a lot of play in there. You obviously don't want the fan moving like that, but it could if it actually had to. Now the next step here is we have to install this receiver. This is the box that actually communicates with our remote control here, because you don't actually flip this one on with chains. You actually have a little remote control device. So this is the device that talks to that. And that piece just kind of goes up, kind of slides into the thing over the receiver there, and we go from there. So let's get that installed. And it isn't pretty, but that's how it should all look. And basically this is going to be the connector that goes to the fan, which will connect to this plug here. And then this is the input to the wireless remote, or the receiver, and that is the power there. So all I got to do is connect all that up. And the next step is to put it together and make it see if it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is connect up my input. This is the input coming from the electricity from the wall. And this is the input to the wireless receiver. So I just got a couple of wire nuts. We're going to connect those together. And I got everything connected. I got this one here and this one here. I'm just going to kind of wrap that up a little bit so they'll all fit within this little sheath thing here. And now the next thing I want to do is I want to plug in and connect up the fan. And this is the main power that goes from the receiver for the remote, and then this goes to the fan. So those just plug together really easy. And that looks like this when it's done. Now all I gotta do is connect my grounds together with my wire nut, with my final wire nut, kind of wrap everything up there, push it into the sheath, and let's hook it all up, see if it works. Now at this point, while I don't have everything neatened up here, and I don't have the blades hooked up, and I don't even have the lights on the bottom part here, I ought to be able to use the remote control and turn it on, and this thing ought to spin. So let's see if it works. Okay, that's good news. So yeah, we're getting there. So we're done with that for now. Now let's get everything kind of hooked up here and made to look neat, because that obviously doesn't look very good, does it? Alright, this was definitely something that took more than 2 hands if I was going to shoot this on a camera, but this is ultimately what it should look like. I've gotten this thing up out of the way. It's locked into place and screwed into place. This little bracket on the bottom here is in place now and locked into place. And basically you want to make sure you don't have any wires sticking out of here, because this thing is metal, and if you press too hard onto the wire, you could actually end up creating a short, which could cause a fire. But I got everything where I wanted to go. There's nice clean movement here, so we are good to go. Let's finish this thing up. Next step is we want to attach the light bracket here, and that just connects to the bottom. There's 2 nice little wires here, this white wire and this blue wire, and coincidentally enough, there's a white wire and a blue wire here, so we'll just connect them up, and now we've got power going to our lights. Finished product looks like that. Now all we got to do is connect that up to the top. But before I connect everything up, I'm actually going to attach the light bulbs here just to make sure the bulbs work. Because if you got a problem now's the time to do it while it's all opened up. Then you can track it down and figure out where the problem is. Once you get it all buttoned up, then if there's a problem, you got to disconnect it and try again. Alright, so here comes the all-important test. I got the bulbs all screwed in. They're ready to go. Press the button. And boom, we have light. So let's button this thing up, attach the fan blades, and this thing's done. Alright, now we got the light base attached to the entirety of the fan, and we've also done our power test just to make sure everything still works. But just to make sure, here, lights are on, and the fan is spinning, so everything still works good, so we're in good shape. So let's attach the fan blades, put the dome on the bottom, and we are done. So we got 5 of these fan brackets, and basically they got 2 screws here, and the screws just go right into here. So there's 10 screws, 10 holes, 5 fan brackets, and we're just going to connect them all on. They just go on with a Phillips screwdriver. And once I started installing the blade brackets, it made more sense to actually remove the light bulbs, just because you get a little bit more room to maneuver in there, because the screws are like way deep down underneath here, and if the bulbs are in here, it just makes it harder to get in there. So that was just a preference thing. But the next step now is just to attach the blades, and they just seem to kind of snap into place. They seem to be pretty simple. So the next step is just to install the fan blades. Now these fan blades generally have 2 different colors, and this one's the same way. It's a light color on one side and a dark color on the reverse side. So you can install it either way you want. Since this is my mom's room, I asked her what she wanted, and she kind of thought that the light color would do. So we're going to do that so that the light color is facing down. And that's our final product right there. Do a little more power test just to make sure everything works. Turn it on. Definitely spinning. That's the slow speed. Got a faster speed. And the fastest speed. And it takes a second to wind up. Yeah, you can see it's starting to go now. But I've turned it off right now because I need to put the lights back on and put the dome on. And that is our final product. That is how you put together a ceiling fan. So we got the lights working. Like so. And the fan. And I'm just going to leave that on kind of at a slow speed right now, because that's probably what my mom's going to want here. But we'll show her how this all works, and it's good to go now. So as always, you kind of want to keep in mind what your skill level on this is. This isn't really a terribly difficult thing to do. You just kind of have to follow the instructions and make sure you connect everything up, and make sure you don't chop anything up when you're putting the covers back on. But putting a ceiling fan up isn't really that difficult to do. I did this whole thing in less than an hour, and I was wasting time, recording it at the same time and trying to, narrate what I was doing. So, if you're just focusing just on that, it goes pretty quick. So I hope you enjoyed that. This was kind of an interesting little project, a nice little diversion today from what's been going on for the rest of the week. So I think that is all I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.